Greetings from Chicago, and Josh is in California, and Scott's in Colorado. And we're going to be talking about what have we been discussing with our clients about AI lately with Scott Schang. And Scott, I just saw Scott yesterday because he was at our roundtable meeting, which finished up yesterday afternoon. And the week before, Scott was here in town and we were doing our AMN meeting. So all three of us were in the same room with the Advanced Mastery Network members. Advanced Mastery Network is for seven-figure businesses that are trying to crack into the eight figures. And Scott is the resident AI expert for both groups. And Josh has been running AMN with me for 7 years now. And it is a really good program. We have it dialed in. We have people who graduate from that program regularly sell their companies for eight figures. Just happened to a couple people this year. And hello, everybody. So, Josh, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, I got a question for everybody. In the chat, I would like you to put a 1, 2, or 3 on how you use AI. Number one is, actually, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. And number one is, I don't use AI. I know I've heard about it. I hear it everywhere, but I don't use it. Number two is, I use it instead of Google now. I go ask AI questions like, how tall is Steph Curry? Or who are the main antagonists in World War II? Or things like that, right? You replaced Google with AI for the most part. Put a 3 if you use AI for in replacement or in addition to a counselor or coach or therapist. You ask it questions like, should I take this job offer? Should I go out on a second date with this person? And then AI asks you a bunch of questions. Or 4, do you use AI in some workflow in your business to run automations, plug in with other software, get things done on the regular? Wow, looks like we got some advanced users here. Thank you, Perry. 1, don't use it. 2, it's replaced Google. 3, it's your counselor. Or 4, it's running some kind of automations or processes. This is great. So this really helps because I saw Scott and I both saw a great tweet the other day where the person posted that most people use AI to replace Google are boomers, and then millennials are using it as their therapists, and then Gen Z are using it to run all of their life and automate everything. This is great.
I'm curious, Josh, on 4, are people using developers to integrate into systems, or are you using it to write emails or to translate contracts or to do those things? Are you using them on one-offs? Or are they integrated into your existing business systems?
Yeah, good question. So Seneca, Gen X, I'm Gen X. We're all forgotten. Perry's Gen X, Scott's Gen X.
Business planning, writing blogs, emails. I think that's what a lot of the 4s might be. Yep, content. Yep.
Awesome. And then next, I would love to know, which AI platforms do you guys use? Is it ChatGPT? Is it Grok? Is it Claude? Is it Perplexity? Is it DeepSeek? Oh, Copilot. There you go. Yep, mostly ChatGPT. DeepGram. Haven't heard of DeepGram.
Rapper.
Got it. Awesome.
Oh, there's a notebook LM in there. Excellent. That's a fun one.
Really good engagement, and I love the.
Yeah, I just this really helps us. So thanks for being really engaged in the chat, because we don't want to just come and pitch you something that makes you feel like you're missing out and scares you into action. Our goal is to equip you guys with things that are useful, that move the needle. That's everything that Perry and I do together, is always about moving the needle. It's always about what's applicable for you right now that is most useful. We're not into idea porn that's just going to give you some new shiny that it titillates you but leaves you wanting more and getting nothing done. This is really helpful. Yeah, and you're welcome, Seneca, for not asking lame questions. Like, who's excited today? Let's use our NLP crowd. So, go ahead, Perry.
So we had Scott physically come to these 2 meetings, and workshop with everybody because we've been finding that when we develop tools for a specific purpose, we can create a customized experience that is completely unique to every single person in the room. And they can go home from a seminar or a workshop with 10 times more customized application information, action plans, even implementation and execution than you ever could before. And so I just thought I'd have Scott and Josh on to talk about what we're doing today and what's working. Scott's kind of our AI wizard around here. A year and a half ago, I caught up with him, and just a couple months later, he sold his mortgage business and went full on into making AI his playground. And it really is a playground, as you're going to find out here. Scott, where do you want to pick this up?
Yeah, I think digging into going over how you guys can use this to differentiate your business was so powerful that Scott walked us through last week. I thought that would be really great to talk about today. So Scott, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with a few slides and then I need my sharing on. That was the one thing we didn't discuss.
Oh, got it.
Hey, looking forward to seeing you, Sean. In London in 2 weeks.
I'll race you, Perry.
Oh, wow. All right, there you go.
Okay, that should work. And I think this is it. So let's go.
There we go.
Here, and let's do this. So Perry, I'm going to need your help. Okay, so this is I didn't update the thumbnail here, but we are going to, we're going to talk about unlocking AI as a co-creator. And so, this is what I talked about at AMN and at Roundtable. And this is actually a sneak peek, Sean, of kind of the path we're going to go down in London when we do the 2-day AI workshop in 2 weeks. And this is how I've approached AI. And Perry calls me an expert. I don't know if I'm an expert, but I'm certainly obsessed. And I probably consider myself more of an AI philosopher. I want to understand, what does this technology do for humanity? And so these are the rabbit holes that I go down, and I try to build tools to create an experience for people that, quite frankly, is going to change your complete worldview. So I joke that AI is a destroyer of worlds, but what I mean is it's a destroyer of worldviews. Once you see and once you unlock the power of AI as a co-creator, as an extension of your own thinking and your own innovation and your own creativity, you start building moats around your business, your IP, everything that is just bulletproof. So this all kind of started with Perry and I working on the moats as Perry was developing this. Perry, do you want to do a quick overview for anybody who wasn't at Equity 2.0 and what we were talking about with the moats?
Yeah, the most important thing about any castle is the moat. The moat is more important than the castle. If you have no moat and you have great stuff in your castle, it just means that thieves are going to come and steal everything in your castle. And a business that does not have insulation against competitors is not a business for long. And I had a realization over the last couple of months that we are going to need to have a much, much more precise conversation about the moats that protect your business than we've ever had before. And Scott and I worked on this for about 2 or 3 months before the equity seminar. And I realized that there are 4 kinds of moats in the world that you need to protect your business. And so I put them in 4 quadrants. And the top half, this picture here that you have on your screen, the top half is before a sale. That's when you're dealing with a prospect. The bottom half is after a sale, when you're dealing with buyers. The left half is the physical world, and the right half is the virtual world. And you need at you need to have a moat in at least the top half and the bottom half. And most businesses need all four. And so the first quadrant is trust. And that is in the physical world, that's your connection with people, reputation, branding, character, loyalty, families, tribes, culture, belief. It's having meals with people. It's your reputation in the physical world. In the right side, it's your reputation in the digital world. And that's a very different set of things. It's things like lead generation magnets and original content and online reviews. On the lower left is what you supply to customers in the physical world. So that could be retail stores and physical products and delivery channels and distribution channels and factories and land and buildings and capital. And on the right side, on the lower right, is digital networks that you can build with customers that something like ChatGPT or Google can't take. And what is going on right now is that the AI platforms, even as they give us these tremendous capacities to do new things, they are also eating digital businesses. There's all kinds of digital businesses whose models are going obsolete. So 3 years ago, if you're trying to figure out how to make that little ding on your phone go away, you would do a Google search and you'd find some website about iPhones, and you would go there and you'd click on their ads or whatever. They would monetize it somehow. Now you just add ChatGPT, and so a site with a bunch of iPhone tips isn't really useful anymore. It doesn't have a moat. And I'm just curious how many people are finding there's parts of your business that AI is eating. And there are things that you used to do, or things that people used to use your website for, or ways in which people used to engage with you, where AI looks like it's taking that away. I'm seeing it in parts of my business. And so what we need to build moats on the right side that AI cannot compete with. And it absolutely can be done. And if you look carefully at this drawing, I put tank treads under the castle on the right side. There's no tank treads on the left side, but there's tank treads on the right side. The reason is because in the middle, the chasm that AI is creating is doubling every 6 months. AI doubles in capacity every 6 months. It'll be doing twice as much stuff in November as it's doing now. And so not only do you need a moat around your castle, but the things that happen inside your castle also have to be AI enhanced so that ChatGPT can't do what you do. Gemini can't do what you do. But inside your castle, any one of those platforms in a private feed or a private API could make your castle an even better place for people to come and hang out. And these are the 8 and 9 figure businesses of the next 2 to 5 years, is the businesses that do that. So Scott, was that helpful?
Yeah, no, that was absolutely helpful. So as Perry and I were working on this, it struck me that there is a preemptive moat that happens before we even look at any of these segments or any of these areas of our business. Where is it? And that's your creativity and your innovation moat. So here's how I see AI. AI is so when we talk about intelligence, we say, oh, artificial intelligence, that's what AI stands for, right? So let's unpack intelligence for a minute. If we say somebody is intelligent, I think usually what we're saying is they have a they have a broad set of knowledge. They know a lot about a lot of different things. And when you have a conversation with them, they're able to connect these dots and build bridges across multiple disciplines and ideas and things like that very quickly, and then present a unique perspective that maybe you hadn't thought of. So when you go online and you do a Google search to try to create a moat, that's an exercise in keeping up with the Joneses, because that's somebody else's idea of how you should build your moat. And I think what Google has done over the last 20 years is it's created this habit. We've formed this habit of believing that the answer to our questions is outside of us and it's external. And I'm arguing, my contention is that it's inside of you. It's the same thing that drove you to start your business. It's the same thing that made your business successful, and it was your creativity and it was your innovation. So when we use AI as a co-creator and as an extension, so now let's look at what AI actually is. AI is a massive set of almost all of what civilization has uploaded to the internet in the last 25 years. Everything we've known, everything we've explored, but it doesn't know what to do with it until you ask a question. The algorithm is the neural network that goes instantly into all of civilization's history of civilization's information, connects dots and brings it back to you so that you can see it. So I think of AI as an external hard drive for your own thought process. And when you think of it that, all you're doing is outsourcing the crunching of information and the connecting of dots and the building of bridges. And so when when you use your creativity and your innovation, not only does your moat have tank treads, we can strap a couple of 50 cals on there to just decimate anybody that comes anywhere close to you, because they are not you and they are not thinking of the same things you are. So as I was putting this presentation together, it was interesting. I found this Jeremy Utley is a adjunct professor at Stanford, and he did an AI impact study. And it was ironic and it was interesting that what he was talking about is exactly what I was trying to explain. So, what Jeremy Utley did is he conducted studies in both the US and Europe to understand how generative AI impacts creativity and productivity among professionals. And he was surprised by the result because many of the participants claimed that they became less creative when they were using AI. So he dug a little bit deeper. And what he ended up realizing is that the difference between the underachievers and the overachievers is the underachievers using AI, the ones that were being disappointed, becoming less creative, they were using it like a tool. They were using it like a Google search as a one-way resource for answers. Hey, what's the answer to this? But the overachievers were using it as a teammate and a co-creator, and they used it to get feedback and to have it ask them questions and then collaborate with it iteratively to develop and refine ideas. So one of the things that I like to talk about is how AI removes innovation latency. So let me explain that real quick. Typically, when we get an idea, and if it's a whopper, like if it's a really good idea, you only need to give it about 23 seconds, and then the head trash starts to settle on it like a little fine layer of dust. And you're like, that's a crazy idea. I don't know if that's a good enough idea. I don't know if anybody's going to do it. And then maybe you ask somebody like out of the blue with no context, and you're like, hey, I've got this great idea. I'm super excited about it. And they're like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. That's motivating, right? You're going to dive right in. But with AI, when you iterate your ideas, when you put your ideas into AI, you get instant feedback loops, and these feedback loops are insights, new perspectives, new dimensions on your thought process. So ultimately, you can iterate an idea at the speed of whatever your internet connection is, and get to the point where you are so confident in that idea, you're ready to take action, which is then innovation. So the innovation latency is the time between the idea and when when you've iterated that enough and you have enough confidence and enthusiasm about the idea to take action to see if it's even going to work. So to start the innovation process. So AI eliminates all of that friction when you're using it as a teammate. Oh, why am I getting a thing here? So human beings have an unconscious cognitive bias. They call it the Einstellung effect. And it's essentially that we process new ideas through old frameworks, right? So our success is the cost of innovation. Essentially, our success blocks innovation because we already know what works. We already know what doesn't work, and we can't help it, right? So we're always processing everything from what we did in the past. And that's preventing us from being truly innovative and really unpacking new ideas and new perspectives. So when you think of AI as an engine of innovation, because new products, better systems, unique customer experiences, they all start as a creative idea. They all start as you wake up, as Perry will talk about, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning with this burning idea that, oh my gosh, this is the thing that's going to set me apart. Those are creative processes. And then what we do with that process, how we get that idea, waking up in the middle of the night to action, that's where I'm saying that AI comes in. So without creativity, businesses just stagnate and they get outpaced by somebody who's going to come up, who's going to be able to act on it. So pricing can be matched, features can be copied, but original thinking is a bulletproof moat, right? So this is what makes your creative thinking, creative branding, storytelling, and problem solving makes your business uniquely unforgettable. And quite frankly, it's what has made your business uniquely unforgettable and successful up to this point. But there's a point as entrepreneurs that we go from creative mode and then we end up shifting into defense mode, and then we're just working in our business on the same ideas, occasionally getting enough breathing room that we can come up with a new idea, but sometimes we just get sucked into running the business that came out of our original creative kind of outburst that got us there in the first place. Now, AI is not intelligent. It does not do anything without you. In Planet Perry, we talk about memos from the head office all the time. We all know that we have these beautiful brains that were given to us by God, and but we get ideas, our ideas just come out of nowhere. We process it, but AI can't do that. AI has the neural capacity, but it depends on you to ask the questions, to put in the input that's going to then process that and give that back to you as a unique perspective. So the bottom line is creativity isn't just for artists. It's the lifeblood of a future-proof business. And Perry talks about this a lot. When tools are accessible to everyone, your creativity, your DSP, your USP, your power promise, the way that you approach your business, that becomes the difference that makes the difference. So what I want to do, I want to show you a couple of things that we talked about. So this is what Perry and I developed at Equity 2.0. And what we did is we essentially created a process where you can answer 24 questions, and you take those 24 questions and you put it into this custom GPT. All right, hang on a second. We need to go to last opened. So what we did, and I want you to understand a little bit, there's a couple of things going on here. I don't want you to get distracted by this isn't a shiny object. This is a very purposeful experience. So what we're doing is we're asking you. So this is Anthony's Lawn Care, Anthony Hill, member of AMN. You'll meet him when you join. He's just an amazing implementer, owns a lawn care business in Bloomington, Indiana. So he answered the questions. There are 24 questions. So we're not just asking a question to AI. We took our time. He thought about each of these 24 questions about his business, his marketing, and then we're putting it into this AI and we're saying, show me where my can defend against AI disruption and outpace the AI disruption that's happening. So you take that questionnaire, you put it in here, and it will break down everything. It's going to explain to you how your business works, what areas of your business are protected from AI disruption right now, and what areas of your business have potential to have disruption in your business. Anthony's doing pretty good here. I've actually been working with Anthony for a year now, and we've been really focusing on this for over a year to future proof his business. Now, this is a physical blue collar business, and you would think, oh, we're just going out there trimming trees and mowing lawns. But no, there's a lot in here that has worked for him that might not be working in the future that we need to work on. So this first tool gives you the opportunity to get a new perspective and new insights on your business. So it breaks down each of the quadrants. It identifies where you have opportunities, where you're doing well, where you can dive into it. Now, a couple of things. So Bob Harris at Equity 2.0 had this great experience. Somebody from the audience raised their hand and they said, I'm colorblind. I don't know if I can see the red, yellow, and green lights. This is not software. All you have to do is tell it, I'm colorblind. Can you present this in a way that I can understand it?
Why didn't you do that, Scott? Type, I'm colorblind.
Yeah. Okay. I'm colorblind. Can you display this in a way I can understand? Absolutely. So then it changes it into words. So what we are used to doing is putting in effort in Google, right? So we ask a question. What does Google do when we ask a question? The Google librarian shuffles up with a stack of books that says, if you read all these books, your answer might be in there, depending on how much they paid us to rank on the top of your Google search. So there's a lot going on there. But this is an experience. We can say anything at any time. I really want to unpack how to protect my business in let's say quadrant 4. You can engage with this now. And it's going to engage with you based on what it understands from what you've given it. So now let's unpack 4. If we want to look at one of these, like scheduling plus CRM and the AI safety net, we know this and we're working on it. So we can say, can you give me a step-by-step instructions for improving scheduling plus CRM? So we can just have a conversation with this and we can deep dive and we can go back and forth with it. And it's going to say, here's what you can do. Here's how you segment your clients. Here's how you build predictive scheduling templates so you're saving time. Use Airtable plus Google Sheets. This is an experience, and this is not external. This is an internal conversation. I like to describe it as a mirror. This is a mirror. This isn't making this stuff up. It's a mirror of the data that we gave it. We gave it a detailed, curated data set, and we fed it into that. And now we're having a conversation with our data set. And what was funny, Jim Spalding at Roundtable, we were at dinner and he said, yeah, it told me that my promotional or my video that's on my website is 15 years old and that it needs to be updated. And I don't know how it did that. Did it look at my website? Did it do that? And then we said, did you tell it? He's no. We went back to his questionnaire, and as he was taking the time and unpacking, answering all of the questions on the questionnaire, he mentioned that his introduction or his promo video was 15 years old, but he didn't remember that he put it in there. That's what happens with us. We've got a lot going on. We know all of this stuff. The best case scenario here is 75% of this, or even 80% of this is, oh, I've thought of that. I've worked on that. I know I need to do that. And then if it gives you 20% new perspectives and ideas or shortcuts, then now you're off to the races. And now you're co-creating. Look at this, giving you texts. And here's an example of how to phrase it. Hi, client, your front yard is officially storm safe again. Let us know how it looks. We're standing by if you want to walk it together. Like, it's going to give you so much information to work on. So
now, Scott, yeah. Geronimo had a good question. He says, I've seen and read that when you make your bot inside ChatGPT, it can have many flaws. Why do you choose ChatGPT?
That is a complex question. Flaws are typically caused by a couple of things. It's mostly caused by a lack of context. So it doesn't have enough information to answer the question, or most often we're not asking the right questions. So if it's giving you flaws, you say, why are you giving me flaws? Can you ask me the questions so that I can answer them so that you can give me the right answer? So I will always ask, I go back and forth. It is never, these are not answers. These are insights. And when you shift your perspective that way, so output is determined by the input and the context that you've given it in order to solve that problem. Most problems are it's giving you exactly what it thinks you're saying. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't make mistakes. I've had it make mistakes and I know the answer to the mistake. And I'm like, hey, here's the right answer. Now let's move forward from this premise with this correction. And now you have a completely new experience because it will not forget that correction. Mistakes are opportunities to rephrase your question, ask better questions, ask it to help you ask better questions and provide better context from which it can derive those questions and those insights. That's my experience.
And then why are you betting on ChatGPT versus other platforms?
Because I believe that ChatGPT is the 9 million pound gorilla in the AI race. It has first mover advantage by a long shot. Everybody else, and you can tell this by every single headline, especially if you follow AI, is this beat ChatGPT in this one feature or functionality, and that will last approximately 36 hours till ChatGPT releases an update. The other reason why I like ChatGPT is you cannot create these experiences in any other AI. You can't. So this is what's called a custom GPT with a custom set of instructions that produces a consistent output every single time. Everything else is a chatbot. If you're using it, I know Google has some things that it was trying. Claude has internal projects that you can do, but you can't share it. Like when we work with these, you get this tool. You fill out the question, you get this tool, you drag it into it. There isn't another platform out there that can do this. I'm putting all of my money and I'm betting on ChatGPT. I've used all of the other ones. I love them for different things. I will often do the same tasks in multiple chats and multiple platforms and bring them together. But if you want to 80/20 this thing, I don't even think it's 80/20. I think it's 97/3. I think ChatGPT is the one where you invest most of your time and energy because it's leading AI. Not only was it the leader in making AI accessible to us and humanity, and everybody else is trying to catch up. Claude are AI employees that just had a different idea of how they wanted to do it, right? So they peeled off. Also, if you're a developer and you're using the API, ChatGPT is still one of the cheapest ones. Claude is amazing at logic and math and coding, but it's also very expensive and it's very limited on the usage. You can max out Claude very quickly. So it's a little bit personal preference, but it's also seeing the writing on the wall that ChatGPT is by far the leader in innovation and everybody else is just trying to catch up. For instance, Claude just got access to the internet 30 days ago. And ChatGPT's had access to the internet for over a year.
Yeah, I want to weigh in on this. I have a client who she consults a bunch of Fortune 500 companies in AI. She's been an AI consultant for 4 years. So longer than AI's been a big headlines thing. And she said one by one, she's seen all of her big corporate clients, like we're talking companies the size of Amoco or Starbucks or whatever. One by one, they have abandoned their attempts to build an internal AI engine that is private because the big platforms like Google and ChatGPT have so much network effect from so many users, and their data centers are so big, and they have so many people building features. And the most important thing is they have the most training data.
Yeah.
She's watched all of these companies. They have huge IT teams, but they can't touch what Silicon Valley is already generating. And for quite a while, I was very hesitant about uploading my data into ChatGPT and all of that. And I just had to let go of that. Really, I think that your data inside the AI platforms, especially when you there's a little switch you turn off where it doesn't share the learning with the rest of the outside world. These platforms end up being like Gmail and Google Docs, where I forgot the punchline of her story. She said, ChatGPT, the staff of ChatGPT has their meetings on Google Meet. And Google is their biggest competitor. And like they're direct rivals, direct competitors. So even ChatGPT is counting on Google not to come and steal their meeting data, however that works. But what I'm getting at is that there's a whole bunch of AI products that are just wrappers that use ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok. And a lot of those companies are not going to survive because whatever they're doing now is just going to be a feature in ChatGPT in 6 months. So that's my 2 cents.
And I think Justin made a good point. And if something overtakes ChatGPT, it'll be relatively easy to transfer all of this stuff over to it if there's something better.
Yeah.
One question, Perry, I know you answered a few questions in here. People were asking, how do they get access to this? There's a lot of ways that they can get access to this strategic moat mapper. I think if we walked through and listed all the ways they can get access to it through Planet Perry right now would probably be useful to give people context. Obviously, we got on this call to talk about AMN and how we're using the moat mapper like with somebody like Anthony's lawn care in AMN, to see how we're making this as strategic and instantly implementable for your business. But not everybody's an AMN qualified candidate. So let's talk through just the different ways they can get access to Scott, access to these tools in Planet Perry. Obviously, we've got AMN. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And then Roundtable. He's embedded in Roundtable. He was there with you this week. So those are the two heavy hitting masterminds that are Perry's highest level of engagement, other than one-on-one work with Perry. Then you've got, what's next? You've got an event coming up in London. You had the Equity Summit a few weeks ago that I spoke at with you. And how can they get access to all of that?
So if you want the Moat Mapper, just purchase access to the equity seminar that we did 2 weeks ago. And you can email edith@perrymarshall.com, and you can use the pricing that we had on that. Like you could purchase just the morning session, or you could purchase the whole seminar, and our salespeople will take care of you for that. And when we release the recordings, you'll get everything that you're entitled to. But the minute you get access to the seminar, you'll get access to the thing, and then you'll get all the explanations and background that we gave at the seminar. And it's absolute people. What we did at the seminar was I explained the model for about an hour. I gave an outline, and then everybody opened their computers, paired up with a partner, and used the Moat Mapper, and everybody had uploaded their answers, had them ready to go. And people were blown away. People got, in the next hour lab session, they got a level of customization that in any previous non-AI seminar, I would have had to have a staff of 20 people all assigned to each different table explaining things to people. And so the GPT tool that we did gave everybody a completely customized report based on very unique information that they'd put into their business and what the vulnerabilities are. So that's what we did there. We're going to do it again in London. We're going to do on June 4. We're going to do it in Boston on June 24. We have further dates like Orlando and probably New York
Denver
coming up. And we also, so we're doing these at Perry Marshall Live, and we spend the whole day workshopping together. Scott has a course called Renaissance AI, which is $199 a month, where he teaches you what we do. And then in AMN, we work with our members over a 12-month period to build moats around the business, scale the business, make the business, if you want to keep it, make the business a business you want to keep and enjoy running. And if you want to sell the business, make the business sellable and have strong equity so you're in a strong negotiation position. And we've baked live AI labs into the training that we do in Roundtable and AMN, because I feel this is so important. And most people, as you saw from the survey, everybody knows a lot of people are using AI just as a glorified search engine or as a consultant. But if you use it the way Scott does, as a live idea lab where you can talk to a version of yourself that in some ways is more ingenious than you, and it can mirror back to you your most ingenious thoughts, you can develop ideas at 10 times the speed you ever used to. So we had AMN last week. We took everybody at AMN through this exercise. Then we took them through more exercises, and people went home. I think people went home with more value from a meeting than we've ever been able to deliver before. Josh, I'd like to hear some of your thoughts about that.
If it's okay, can I take 2 minutes? Because
right ahead, Scott.
I don't want to get distracted by the Moat Mapper as a shiny object, because it is one leg of a three-legged stool that I really want to show you the potential of this. So many people are going to lock into this and say, oh, I want this moat mapper. This is really interesting. And it is extremely valuable and extremely powerful on its own. But what we're going to be teaching over in AMN and Roundtable next year and at our 2-day workshops is the only place we're going to get this. So this is everything about your business. This knows about your business because you give it. Then there's a second leg of this called Genius Flip that knows everything about you. And I'm not going to explain how this works, but basically it understands it'll give you a cognitive blueprint of how you make decisions, how you solve problems, why you self-sabotage when you do things. So this is that. And then there's another one that we'll do deep research projects using deep research models. And this is actually 250 pages of deep research data about Anthony's industry, his marketplace, his competitors, the psychographics of his consumers, a SWOT analysis and how he competes. And then all of that gets put. So you take the data from your business, you take the data from your cognitive blueprint, and you take all of the market research, and we put all of that together into a single GPT that then becomes your master mind. And that has all of that data that you can engage with that can give you deep insights that you can say, what's the 80/20 opportunity hiding in my business? How do we radically improve our customer experience in the next 90 days? And it has this context, this curated data set that we've developed. We spend hours developing this. So we've gone through the first two legs of this in AMN. So what I wanted to offer to everybody, if it's okay with you guys, is if you decide to join AMN this year, this session, you can have a free 1 hour call. I will get you up to speed. I will go through the moat mapper, teach you how to use it, teach you how to use Genius Flip so that you're up to speed, because in the next sessions, we're going to install the other two legs of this mastermind, this co-creator that's going to give you the most defensible creative moat you could possibly imagine so that you're up to speed and you're ready to moving forward. And Perry, is it okay if we give people 30 days access to the Renaissance Lab, where I talk about AI for 4 hours, 2 hour calls every month? If they join, can they get access to that as well?
Yeah, if you join, we can give you access to Renaissance Lab, and there's an incredible power that happens when you put an idea into an AI and then you hit the accelerator pedal. And when you can mirror back your thoughts, and remember what you said about 23 seconds after you have a great idea, head trash starts to settle. So what happens if before even 23 seconds happens, you can accelerate it forward? So like at AMN last week, we applied this to moats, and I had one of our members was building a technology platform, and I got up on the board and I drew a diagram of how the richer his customer experience is, the bigger the moat around his castle, and it only gets stronger as it goes forward. In fact, if I could get Josh to talk about this for a minute, I want to pull up a different graphic that I've been using to explain this that we used with the AMN members last week. Because, and what I'd like you to address is the fact that we're now in an accelerated economy where things can happen so much faster than they used to happen. and you can build network effects and moats so much faster than you used to be able to do it. So if maybe Josh, if you could talk about that while I open a file on my computer.
Yeah. So are you going to be talking about the San Andreas fault?
Yes.
Is that the graphic? Yeah. We discussed there was an email from the CEO of Fiverr that went out about a week and a half ago. And if you guys haven't seen it, you can find it online anywhere. It's everywhere. But he wrote a letter to their users, the vendors, the freelancers that are on Fiverr providing the supposedly $5 tasks for people. And he said that AI is coming after all of your jobs, including mine as the CEO. And it was a very sober perspective. It was a very integrous email to send out because it is admitting that Fiverr's entire business model is at risk of being replaced by most of AI. And so as we think about how fast AI is moving, Perry's going to bring up this graphic of how do you get on the other side of the chasm? How do you stay away from the ever expanding San Andreas fault that is essentially AI consuming tasks and consuming deliverables for customers or clients or end users, however you consider your business. And I remember in 2001, I was in grad school. I'll tell this real quick story because I always think of this conversation when I hear these discussions. In 2001, I was in grad school and I had a software startup venture in the healthcare space that I was trying to get off the ground. And I would go to all of these venture capital events. I would be paraded around by my grad school all over the nation to go compete in business plan writing competitions and elevator pitches and whatnot. And I was at this one in Sacramento, and Tim Draper from Draper Fisher Jurvetson was there. And he was talking about the acceleration of technology. And we all know about Moore's Law, and we all know about how computing gets faster and faster. But he said the thing with technology acceleration is that it is compounding windows of innovation and time, tighter and tighter windows. And he said this to us in 2001 that he said, what's been done in the last 150 years will be done in the next 15 years. And then what's done in that 15 years will be done in the next 1.5 years. And I've watched it play out, and we're seeing it happen right now with AI. And so as you think about your business, and we're not here to say be Chicken Little and say the sky's falling and you're going to be homeless and broke and otherwise give us your money and we'll save you from that fate. That's not the goal. I mean, there's lots of people out there doing that pitch, and yes, Perry and I have refused forever to get into that messy end of the pool. But we do want to have you have eyes wide open and be equipped and be on the forefront and profit as much as possible, because I love Naval Ravikant's perspective on AI, because a lot of people are doomsdayers saying 80% of humanity is going to be unemployed and we're going to have to come up with a universal basic income and people are just going to be unnecessary. And so we need the world population to go down. And Ravikant says it's a universal basic income. That's a non-solution to a non-problem. And I love it because he takes the perspective of, which is my perspective too, that humanity continually innovates. We always solve problems. My little tongue-in-cheek argument with anybody that wants to go like dystopian, yeah, Justin, you beat me to it. It's mine isn't the unemployed horses. Mine is the unemployed lamplighters. For those that don't know, pre-modern electricity, there were lamps on streets that had to be lit every night so that people could see and walk down the street without being in complete darkness, or without walking around with a, what do they call them, lamp, right? The kerosene type lamps, lantern. That's what I was thinking of. And so lamplighters would go out every night and light the lamps, and then go out every morning and snuff them out. Now, they still have some of those in India because they've decided to not innovate in parts of India so they could just keep people employed lighting lamps. Now, they're stalling development. They're stalling innovation. It's a very government solution. It's a very socialist solution. But when lamplighters went out of business, oh, thanks, Michael. It's interesting that Russia does it too. When lamplighters lost their jobs, I don't remember reading in the history books about the turmoil of the unemployed lamplighters. They just went and found other jobs. They found other things to do that didn't involve the labor that was replaced by technology.
Screwing in
And
light bulbs.
yeah. And like Justin said, the unemployed horses is a great line. I think of ditch diggers when the tractor came out, right? Nobody was crying over ditch diggers not having jobs. And yeah, milk delivery to your front door that we had endless examples, right? And so, sorry, Sean, that was funny. So I think as we think through this, there are endless opportunities, and we just want to help equip you guys to take advantage of those and find your unique genius. And I think that's where Scott, going from the moat mapper to then what was the genius flip, the genius flip is what so many people really loved last week. And I think that is really the superpower that Scott is able to equip you guys with. Yeah, go ahead, Perry.
Our objectives sharpened and got further defined just in the last couple of months with this work that I've been doing with Scott. And I'm going to put a graphic on the screen. So this is a more advanced version of that quadrant thing that I showed you. And AI has split the world in half. And so AI is a San Andreas fault, which is that crack in California where the plates are moving apart. And eventually,
and they haven't renamed it to Newsom's fault yet, but it should be. But
and so someday California is going to fall into the ocean, or it's going to move away and go be near Hawaii. It split the internet in half, and AI is the new user interface of the internet. And so it eats the internet. Like the Apple phone website that tells you how to fix that little problem. Nobody needs to visit that website anymore. So that business model is getting eaten. And the brown arrows pointing to the right are saying that the width of the fault line doubles every 6 months because AI doubles in capacity every 6 months. So it's eating a lot of businesses and their houses and factories that are falling into the moat. So I drew the castle in a moat in a swimming pool on tank treads on the right because your castle needs to keep advancing at the speed of AI.
it reminds me of, so we saw all the fires down in Southern California and Malibu and whatever. The irony was so many people have built homes right on the cliffs of the ocean, and the cliffs erode and fall, and the houses fall into the ocean over the years. It's just a very California thing I've grown up seeing. And so all this is putting that house right on the tracks so that it keeps its perfect view right on the edge of the cliff overlooking the ocean as the cliff keeps eroding. So you're moving it to stay ahead of it, but keep your position wherever you want it.
So if you build network effect for mere mortals moats around your business and you have access to data that ChatGPT and Google does not, which many of us do, most of us don't even think about this, but we do, then as AI advances, the better ChatGPT gets, the better Gemini gets, the better Claude gets, or whatever platform you're wired into, the better your service offerings get, the better your company gets. And effectively, your castle is moving on tank treads away from the fault line because as ChatGPT gets better, your company also gets better, but it still has a moat. And this defines what we do in AMN to make companies valuable. And I had this realization about 3 months ago when I was planning the equity seminar. I realized if I don't add an entire component of this to deal with how AI is changing the value of companies, there's a lot of clients, their company won't be worth anything in 3 years. AI will have eaten it. On the other hand, there will be companies that have a stronger moat than ever for almost the same reasons. And so That's why I put the tank treads under the moats. And so AMN starts in September officially. That's when the cohort begins. And we start onboarding clients now. So we have an onboarding process so that when the meetings and the formal engagement begins, you already have ramped up. Josh and Robert and I have already put a microscope into your business. We've already equipped you with AI tools. You've already done genius flip exercises with Scott.
I think the biggest thing that the onboarding does, because it's for companies between 1.5, 2 million and 10 million, somewhere in there. I mean, we've got some members over 10 million. But the biggest thing with companies like that is the owner typically has to get some weeds pulled out and get their time freed up so that they can really focus over the course of the year. So it's almost like you get a bonus 3-4 months of prep to get ready for AMN, because we found that if you don't have time to focus on your business, nothing you learn from us is going to help. We're not going to run your business for you. And I already quoted Naval Ravikant. He's one of my favorite thinkers. He has a great quote that says, "A busy calendar and a busy mind will prevent you from doing great things." And so if you don't have space to think and to be proactive, and you're just in reactive mode, walking around with fire extinguishers in both hands every day, putting out the fires that you probably lit subconsciously or unknowingly, then your ability to execute is greatly diminished. So the getting started, I've got you can email me. We've got the sales page for AMN I threw in there, and you get a bunch of bonuses if you sign up before the end of May. First of which is we'll knock $5,000 off. So you get a nice discount there. Second is you get access to Scott, forgive me, the Renaissance what?
AI.
Oh,
AI.
Renaissance AI. Thank you. You get access to Renaissance AI. So you can dive in and hit the ground running and have a one-on-one with Scott, build your moat mapper, go through your genius flip.
Yep.
And then we're going into our 8th year. So Perry and I have this figured out, and adding Scott to the team with AI is a big boost as well. Everybody loved it last week. And Chris, great question. We'll get to that. And going into our 8th year, I think the biggest thing we've realized is we've helped companies grow and get acquired. We've helped people buy out partners. We've helped people turn their businesses into cash cows. And we're going into very uncharted territory with the market. There's a lot of stuff going. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's some people that feel like the sky is falling and are disoriented from everything that Trump's doing. There's some that are bolstered and encouraged and excited about what Trump's doing, and everything in between. And the reality is, neither Perry nor I nor Scott nor anybody else that you listen to can tell you exactly what's going to be happening by the end of 2025. It's completely impossible to guess whether it's up or down or sideways, good or bad or indifferent. But we know that after having helped companies through COVID, through all sorts of transformations, and coming out the backside and being sold, we just had Brady Roberts on this week, who was an AMN member who got eaten up and chewed up, but not spit out by the meat grinder of COVID because he was in the trade show space. So he was growing like crazy before it, got completely smacked into a brick wall and frozen through COVID, and then came out it and grew his business and sold it for life-changing money last year. So we know that helping you navigate exactly what you're dealing with is our top priority. And we want to be your supports and your cheerleaders and your guides through that journey. So if you're over that 1.5 million mark, if you're growing quickly up to 1 million, like growing more than 25% a year, then talk to me, still apply. But it's really for those companies over the 1.5 million, $2 million range that complexity really sets in, and that transformation from entrepreneur to CEO is what's needed. And that's what we're most excited to help with. So that's AMN. My email's there, josh@perrymarshall.com. You can go to perrymarshall.com/AMN if you want to find out more details about it. There is a link to just book right on my calendar from the sales page if you want to do that. I promise I won't bite. There's no hard pressure closing. It's just whether it's a fit or not. And we can work out all the payment plans. It's not a pay in full program. You don't have to pay $50,000 up front. If you want to, that's great. We give you discounts or whatever, but we want it to fit your cash flow. So, Chris, for the ones who are not ready for AMN, what did and did not join Equity 2.0, what will the London AI Lab offer? And Sean, no, I am in California. Actually never been to England. I've never been in my life. I will not be there, but Perry will be there. Perry, go ahead. Talk about the London AI Lab.
London AI Lab is for any size business. There isn't any restriction. It'll help you whether you run $100,000 business or $100 million business. So the first day is a Perry Marshall Live, which we are starting with a 2-hour moat mapper lab. So very similar to what we did at the equity seminar with the 2-hour lab with the moats. We're gonna start the day with that in London. And then the rest of the day, I'm going to do micro hot seats with everybody in the room that are inspired by the exercises that we did in the morning and whatever other questions you bring. So we'll have lunch, we'll have dinner, we'll have an all-day workshop. There will probably be somewhere between 20 and 30 people there. It's a really great size of room to meet a lot of people, and it's so enjoyable. And then Scott's doing an additional day 2 and day 3 where he's going to add 2 more legs to the stool. He's going to do the genius flip. Scott, why don't you talk about what you're doing day 2 and 3 in London? And those are, you can take the 1 day or you can take the 3 day. Tell everybody what you're doing with the 3.
Yeah, everybody that attends a 2-day workshop in London or anywhere else we do it is going to walk away with a personalized custom GPT that is trained on a curated data set of everything about your business, everything about how you operate, everything about your marketplace and your competitors, and you're going to have a super, super powerful extension of your brain could completely customize to you. It's going to be a game changer for your life, for your business, for everything. And that's going to be completely customized to you. And we're going to go through it step by step. And you're going to walk away with the gift that keeps on giving, which is access to your own inner genius, quite frankly.
And now you guys are doing it again in Boston. What are the dates of all of these if you guys want to throw those in the chat? So London.
So Boston is June 24. And then Scott, am I correct that you're doing, or are you, I apologize, I don't remember. Are we doing an AI lab in Boston 2 days following, or is that Denver?
You know what? London is our first one. I would love for there to be enough interest that we just tack it on to the rest of the Perry Marshall Lives. We've got a New York, we've got Denver, we've got Boston, and we have an Orlando at the end of the year.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. We are for sure doing the 1 day version, like a Perry Marshall Live, starting with the moat in Boston. I can't say for sure that we're adding a 2 day.
Got it. Good clarity. So
thank you.
As you guys, if you have interest and you can't make the London 2 day, reach out to Perry's team, Edith at perrymarshall.com, and say, hey, I'd love to do the 2 day on the back of Boston or New York or Denver or whatever. Yeah. And we'll coordinate it and twist Scott's arm to add that availability if he's up for it.
And finally, I really want to encourage everybody who's got a business north of about $1.5 million a year. Email Josh at perrymarshall.com and get a conversation with him. Your conversation with Josh will be extremely helpful no matter what the outcome. He's not going to put anybody's head in a vice or.
No, the biggest thing I focus on is just figuring out where your bottleneck is. That's my shtick. Everybody's got a bottleneck. They're being blocked from getting something done. And whether you join AMN or not, I will help you solve that bottleneck on that call and get clarity. So we only want to work with people that are excited to work with us over the course of the next year and a half, that close to year and a half, and are looking for guidance through this uncertain time. So yeah, really excited. Scott, thanks for wowing us with your genius and the genius of AI that you've molded and bent to your will. Yeah, we're thrilled to have you on board with AMN. Scott's a great guy. He's fit in perfectly with everybody last week. We all had a great time. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Josh. Take care.